Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about Amtrak planning a high-speed bullet train.
All right, we are so excited about this development because it's one thing that people have wanted for so long, and that probably the thing we hear the most is, when is Amtrak going to get a high-speed bullet train? And we're not talking about the Acela here or the new Acela that's supposed to be coming out and has been delayed. This is an actual bullet train. The Acela only goes 150 miles an hour. This one is one that's going to be going 205 miles per hour, putting it on par with the best trains in the world.
Absolutely incredible, the development with this. It has kind of been in the works though already a little bit, right?
It has sort of been in the works. There's a company called Texas Central which has been working on this for a while. They entered into a partnership with Amtrak back in 2016. Now that was a very limited partnership, and Amtrak was only going to be providing ticketing and throughway services for this one rail line, which was going to be going from Dallas to Houston. Now over the years, it's been 7 years since this partnership was formulated. There have been many roadblocks along the way to do with land use rights and funding and all this and that. Well, eventually Texas Central kind of decided this might not work out, and then Amtrak stepped in and said, you know what, we're going to expand our role in this partnership and try to get this project actually to come to fruition and across the finish line. So that's what's happening now, is Amtrak has stepped in. They are doing more studies and more planning on getting this off the ground, and hopefully we will hear more good news soon about when it would be completed. But let's give you the details on what this is going to look like, because it is pretty amazing.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and we did talk about this as one of the things kind of briefly in our video where we talked about things that we would change about Amtrak. I know in the comments section we got a lot of people saying how much they wish we could have the high-speed bullet trains in the US. So I know a lot of people are going to be just as excited as we are about this new development.
Okay, here's the particulars. This first route would be, as I said, Dallas to Houston. That's a 240-mile route, so figure that's going to take you 4 hours to drive it. This train will get there in 90 minutes, which is shocking. That changes everything between these two cities. It can't be really even stated how good that is, because that turns something that's an overnight trip into a day trip for those two cities. It turns, you can be in Dallas and go to Houston for a baseball game for the day, watch the game, and be home at night. I mean, people ride local metros for 90 minutes in some cities like Washington, D.C. So this is really something that is going to change not only the lives of the people in those areas, but the relationship of the two cities.
Yes, it really is, and there is actually a lot of connection between those two cities, which is why this is even, was formulated, because it's so important to have those two cities connected. And this is really going to be life-changing, I think, for a lot of people in those two major cities.
It's also going to have an impact on the environment. There's going to be a removal of 12,500 cars per day off of I-45 when this is completed. So that is a pretty big impact as well. Now, what we haven't mentioned is what type of train this is going to be. And we're really excited to tell you that the plan is for this to be Shinkansen technology, which is the Japanese bullet train. Now, these are trains that we have just ridden for the last 7 weeks, really. We've been riding Shinkansens all over Japan, and they are fabulous. We took things like, we were in Osaka, and these Shinkansen trains allowed us to do just a day trip to Hiroshima, which is a long ways away. Get on the train in the morning, ride down there, do your day tour, come back the same day. That is what's going to be possible in the U.S. That's just fabulous.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think what's so cool about that technology is that this is also going to apply to this US route, is that it's going to be dedicated tracks for this bullet train. And that's what they have in Japan too, is they have dedicated tracks. And so that makes the timeliness of it perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the entire time we rode numerous amounts of bullet trains when we were in Japan, and I think maybe we were delayed for 1, maybe 2 minutes total, like total on all the trains that we were on.
Yeah.
That's wild. And that was, I think, only a couple times is because it was raining severely and there was a little bit of flooding that they were trying to clear from the tracks. But they did it so fast that we were barely delayed. So it's really phenomenal technology. And I really think that it's really going to change things in the U.S. when they bring it, right?
I do. I think it's going to change things because this is technology where these trains are they're never late. The safety record is impeccable. It's another thing that people don't really like about normal trains is, they can derail, and that is terrible when that happens. In Shinkansen trains, they've never had a problem in all the years they've been running them. So that's a bonus. On top of that, they are, I can tell you from experience, much quieter and smoother than any train you've ever been on.
Yes, the only time you feel something is when they're switching a track. Then if you feel movement, then you're like, oh, okay, we must be switching tracks because there's some movement. But for the most part, you really do feel like you're just gliding on air. And you don't feel anything, on your body, obviously, when you're traveling. It's amazing, and it's so great. It's so fast. And like I said, the timeliness is really no downside to these.
Yeah, we do have quite a few videos of Shinkansen trains. You can just search for Shinkansen or Bullet Train or Japan trains on our channel. You'll find those. You can get an idea of what they look like inside, but they are quite luxurious. Even they had 2 classes of train here. We rode both classes. Both were fine. I mean, both were really, really nice. So these are some of the nicest trains you're ever going to ride, and I think if they can bring this to fruition and finish this project, it's going to launch U.S. train travel ahead, where many people thought it could never go.
Yeah, I think it's something so many people have been waiting for such a long time that even just this mentioning of the change in the role for Amtrak in this planning process, it's going to really move things along, and I think it's going to just again change things for those 2 cities. So we're really excited for that.
Yeah, I also have been reading a little bit about how the governors, the mayors of these cities are really excited because of all the industry and the jobs it's going to bring. And I think once they get the first one done, they're going to be able to expand that between more cities rapidly. So we have some ideas of which other city pairs. It's going to be kind of city pairs in the U.S. The U.S. is so big, it can't really be like Japan where it's just one straight kind of line. They have different lines here, but they kind of just run one straight line between Tokyo and Hiroshima. That is going to happen in the U.S. because we have so many cities. So it's probably going to start out as city pairs or city groupings that are in a line, kind of like the Acela is up on the East Coast. So I'm wondering, which cities do you think would be ideal for them to do this in? An obvious one that comes to mind for me is Los Angeles to Las Vegas. That's been talked about for forever. That would be a great one. But let us know in the comments which other city pairs you think might be ideal for this.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good pairings that they could do all over the U.S. Yeah. That was literally just thinking the exact same thing. Las Vegas, Los Angeles pairing would be incredible because that would really save a lot of people a lot of time, and would be pretty amazing to have that connection.
Yeah, I also think if we could get something from Atlanta, boy, that would be either down to Florida or up to Chicago. That would be also incredible. But that's getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. We got to get the first one done first. And if that gets done, I think public support of it is going to be so high, it's going to be so well received, that they're going to be able to do more. So that is exciting for me.
Yeah, that definitely is, I think, the exciting factor for us is that it could really help to launch or push farther the encouragement of people to ride the trains in the U.S. and less dependent on the cars. So that would be pretty amazing.
Yeah, because the main thing you hear, the main argument against trains in the U.S. is, well, why would you ride a train? Because it takes longer than flying. Well, if you can ride from Dallas to Houston in 90 minutes, you cannot fly from Dallas to Houston in 90 minutes because you got to get to the airport 90 minutes ahead of time. So you've just wasted your time. And on the train, you're literally on these Shinkansens. They're on time. You know when to show up. You can get to the station 10, 15 minutes ahead of time, and you're totally fine.
Yeah, that's really the other thing to factor into that a lot of people don't think about is, you know, even in train travel in general, you don't have to add in that extra 2 to 3, 4 hours when you leave your house to get to the airport to be able to make it there in 2 to 3 hours ahead of time for your flight. On a train, literally people are arriving 5-10 minutes before the train pulls up because they really are on schedule.
Yeah, well, this is kind of why it's kind of a double whammy for Amtrak right now, because not only is the train slower, but there's a pretty good chance it's going to be delayed. So on this new, bullet train, the train is going to be just as fast, and it's never going to be delayed, whereas your flight actually has a bigger chance of being delayed than one of these bullet trains. So I think this is going to flip the tide towards trains.
Yeah, for sure. So guys, join us in the discussion down in the comments. Hopefully you are as excited as we are. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We'll keep you guys up to date with everything with this new high-speed bullet train coming to the US with Amtrak. And give us a like, and we'll see you guys soon.